no. Come on. Oh, miss. Make it this time. All right. Oh.
Hey, Steven. Steven.
Set up. Yes!
You turn down just a little bit. Steven.
Now that is classic. That is interesting.
Steven.
Yeah, hey, Evan, what's up?
Yeah, I'm trying to write about justice today.
All about justice. Here, sit down. Seriously, I know you're busy, but this is all about justice right here. Hockey is a beautiful sport. What makes hockey unique is that the players and the coaches play by a code of honor. It's like they police themselves on the ice. They are the ones that maintain order. It's like this. Your guy leans on me, I lean on him, so forth and so on.
Okay.
You maintain balance and order that way. The problem comes when sometimes you get a little elbow, a little trip, a little cross-check. That's when the refs intervene to restore the order that's been lost for whatever reason. But sometimes just a penalty here and a penalty there isn't enough. Sometimes the players want to see blood. Sometimes there's a fight over there and a fight over there and a fight everywhere. And it's pandemonium, Evan. Sheer pandemonium. Total chaos. And then what happens? I'll tell you what happens. What happens is the refs, they clamp down on the players. The refs clamp down. They clamp down on the game.
You're scaring me.
Does that sound like fun? I don't think so. You lose the freedom that the players have to police themselves from the very beginning. Oh, hey, Anthony.
The only thing the refs are trying to do is restore order. And when all that freedom and self-policing is gone, you get the most boring thing in all of sports.
What's that?
A managed game.
A managed game. That is not a beautiful thing to watch.
Episode 4, The Economy of Order. Genius. This is the story of the bigger picture.
Evan, welcome to exile.
The deeper mystery of fate. This is the story of God's mission in the world and our place in it. I'm Evan.
Hi, I'm Evan.
These are my friends.
Evan, what's going on?
And this is For the Life of the World, Letters to the Exiles. Okay, where were we? Oh yeah, this is Dr. Anthony Bradley. He's an associate professor of theology and ethics at the King's College in New York City, and he doesn't like hockey very much. He and Stephen Grable had another way to talk about justice and order, out in my new garden.
So let's talk about this idea of order and how it interacts and perhaps unpacks this idea of justice.
Order is sometimes very difficult to discern. Best way to figure it out is to just roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it.
Order helps us think about the ways in which God has set things up. You can think about it perhaps like a garden. The gardener has this really provocative role at setting up the various plants and putting them around and uprooting some and putting them in different places so that they are positioned well to actually flourish themselves.
That's right. And remember, good gardeners don't make plants grow. They just cultivate the conditions where each plant realizes its natural, God-given capacities. Gardeners remove barriers to the flourishing and harmony of natural systems. They try to maintain, not manufacture, order.
I understand how things need order, but how does that translate to the real world, to God's economy of all things?
Just as a tree is a part of the creation, so is art, and so is business, families, education, government. These are all actually parts of the creation itself. And justice, we can think about that in terms of the right ways to order those systems for the flourishing of human beings.
So why do things break down?
Sometimes a breakdown happens because we're irresponsible. We don't care about the flourishing of the creation.
And when addressing breakdowns, we must always respect the sovereignty God gave each sphere. If one claims too much authority and tries to force the other spheres to flourish, that'd be like an overly zealous gardener using too many artificial fertilizers, in which case the plants and soil are actually weakened.
Okay, but if we can get back to one thing, because I haven't quite got it figured out. You keep talking about like all these spaces in society needing to harmonize together, and that being something that contributes to flourishing, right? And if that's the case, how come I don't see more of that? How come I just see more hurting people?
You know, there's one thing that really matters so much in this whole conversation about justice and order and flourishing, and if we don't have this one thing, this whole thing just completely collapses.
Okay, what's that?
Hospitality.
Excuse me. This your place?
The reason why there is still so much pain and dependency in our world, I'm sorry to suggest, is because of us, the church. In this, we've abandoned our call to hospitality, one of the most ancient Christian virtues. True hospitality. And I'm talking about opening your door to the stranger.
Looking for somewhere to crash.
So I imagine you're pretty thirsty. I was just gonna make lemonade. Lemonade is something that I think really quenched your thirst, because I've been outside in the garden all day with my friends who are here. Hello? 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 Want some lemonade?
Like your dolls.
Better have a seat.
On a cold, bleak night long ago, a beggar wandered the streets looking for a warm place to rest his head. His wanderings seemed in vain, however, for there was no one who failed to recognize the notorious vagabond and thief, Jean Valjean. And so, weary and frozen to the bone, Valjean tried one last door, that of the town bishop. And to his surprise, the bishop welcomed him with open arms. The kind bishop fed the pitiful Valjean, and then he bid him good night. But Valjean, returning to old habits, plundered the bishop's home of its silver, and he stole off into the night. But he didn't get far. Come the morning, Valjean found himself once more in the bishop's home, this time escorted by the gendarme that had apprehended him.
This man seems to have taken possession of all your valuables, Father, but he claims you gave them to him as a gift.
The pitiful Valjean sunk deeper into his shame, but the bishop, in kindness and grace, looked upon Valjean and said,
Yes, it's true. I gave him those trinkets. But Valjean, you left so quickly that you forgot the second part of your gift.
Then the bishop took his most treasured of possessions his silver candlesticks and offered them to the thief. Valjean was taken aback by the man's mercy.
My good men, unshackle him. You may be on your way.
Once the gendarme had left, the bishop told the thief,
With this silver, I have ransomed your soul for Christ. Go now, redeemed and restored, and live a life worthy of this gift.
And in that moment, the thief was forever changed, for he had never known such grace.
The guest. You go first.
Do you have any Peter walking on water?
You like it? It's good.
Thanks for calling the Exploration Group. I'm out exploring right now and can't get to the phone. Please leave a message and I'll get back to you. Hey, Evan. Sorry I missed you. I'm out on an expedition. I wanted to introduce you to someone. His name is Dr. John Perkins. He's a nationally respected community developer and one of the founders of the Christian Community Development Association. For him, justice and hospitality are inseparable. Best regards, dude. Dwight.
I have found, I believe, what God wants me to do with the remainder of my life. And me sitting here with you is that. This moment is the most important moment, and you are the most important group or individual that I can be talking to. If you would ask me, where do we start in justice, is believing that this creative God desired that we would bear his image in the world. And so how do we do justice is to see God's image in this humanity and to serve this humanity. The problem we have to do is the way we do our charity and what we think of them. We approach them like we're gonna give dignity to them. You don't give dignity to people, you affirm it. Hospitality is saying, you're significant. I honor you. I love you. You are under my roof. Love and hospitality is the platform that makes justice, and any kind of justice, available. Now, I want you to go into all the world and share that redemptive love.
Dear everybody, hear the words of the prophet Isaiah. Here is my servant whom I have chosen, the one I love, in whom I delight. I will put my spirit on him, and he will proclaim justice to the nations. How are we to operate with so much hurt, so much dysfunction in the world? What hope is there for justice? Here's the key. Justice needs a face. Yes, God created the world to have order, and yes, in a broken world, we need curators of that order, governing bodies to cultivate the conditions for the various spheres of society to flourish in the ways that they know best. Yes, this is true, but seeking justice must always be personal, and this means investment. It means vulnerability. It means hospitality.
Excuse me.
Not just to the members of the household of faith, but to the stranger.
For a place to crash.
Hebrews 13 is clear who we might be entertaining. This isn't to say we shouldn't be involved in government. We absolutely should, if for no other reason than as the body of Christ, we keep the memory of this truth. Justice requires love. Because you won't have justice unless you remember the image of God in each person. Unless you remember each person's dignity as a glorious, creative, capable gift to the world. Unless you are willing to give yourself away to keep that memory alive. But we must do more than just remember the dignity of all, and especially the stranger. We must welcome that stranger. Make a space for him in our lives, to make a place at our tables for that gift in whom God himself delights.
Like your dolls.
We welcome the stranger because we remember that Christ is the stranger. And as Christ's body in the world of exile, we too are that stranger.
There you go. Get him.
So let us remember that seeking order, seeking justice isn't a matter of designing the right programs or delivery systems. Let us remember that seeking order means acting in accord with the true vision of our brothers and sisters. Let us remember the words of a famous theologian. Seeing with the eyes of Christ, I can give to others much more than their outward necessities. I can give them the look of love which they crave. So let us welcome the gift of each person, and especially the poor, the widow, the orphan. Let us open up spaces in our churches and in our homes, in our hearts and in the nations for those people. Let us offer ourselves in this truth. While we were strangers, Christ gave up everything for us. Yours, Evan.